Hi, I've gotten some emails talking about crashing while painting weights. Unfortunately, 2020 has been having some issues with the paint weights. It might not happen at all to you, or it might happen a billion times. So make sure no matter what, you're saving often and incrementing your saves. But I want to talk to you about the component editor. Now, the component editor does the same exact thing that paint weights does, but in a different way. Paint weights lets you be artistic. If you have a tablet, you get to really kind of feel and use color, obviously, to paint. The component editor is a more mathematical way of doing things. So we'll just go in here. You will select vertices. You can do one vertice at a time or rows. So I set this up just before the video to save time, but I selected this bottom row. So I know that this whole bottom row needs to be weighted to this bottom spine joint, right? We don't want this moving when I move the arm. You'll give some weight into the armpit and down, but this bottom row really isn't going to move when you move the arm. So I will go to Window, General Editors, Component Editor. I will go all the way over to Smooth Skins. Now, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so you can see. VTX is vertex, 1, 2, 3, 4, 300, whatever. That's just what it's assigning and naming each of these vertices that I have selected. So the more you have selected, the longer this list will be. The less, if I just selected one, it would just say vertex, whatever number it is. Now you can see everything, every joint, which is super important as to why we named these. Every joint name is here. Now, if you want to see all of them, you can go to Options, Hide 0 columns, and uncheck it. And now you can see all of the joints. But that gets a little complicated because I don't really need to know that this is not having any weight to the left hand. So I like to hide 0 columns. The only reason you would need to unhide them is if you needed to weight this to a joint that wasn't in this list. So if spine was missing from this, then you could hide 0 columns and add it in here. The main thing is every vertice needs a total of 1 weight. So if I weigh a vertex 100% to a joint, that means it will 100% move to this joint. But if I'm in the middle here, I might want to do 0.5 to the top joint, 0.5 to the lower joint. Just like what you were doing with the fall off in painting weights, you do that, but it's mathematically in the component editor. So you can click and drag down a whole list, and I'm going to type in 0. You'll notice it moved this. That means we still need to fix things, but you can see it in your viewport, so I highly recommend you kind of have your component editor and are able to see it. But again, I know I don't want it to my left arm roll, so I can hit 0, hit enter. I don't want it to the left shoulder, 0, enter. And what this is doing is automatically applying it into, the columns that are left. So I need to double check what spine joint I'm dealing with here. I'm going to go back into object mode. I want this to be to my main spine joint, which is spine 5. Okay, so I'll go back into vertex mode, make sure I've got my vertices selected, and you can hold shift or click and drag to select all of them. But we select again. All right, and so I want these 100% to spine 5. So I'll go to spine 5, I'll hit 1 and hit enter. You can see those go back into place. Now sometimes Maya, unfortunately with the glitches, so I'm going to go to spine 6 and 0 that out as well and just keep chugging until I get spine 5 100%. And 100% is the 1. Okay? The cool thing with this is if you've done your weighting and you just want to clean it up, which is a lot of times when I use this, you can move your joints like move them really extreme and see what's being pulled. You know, you might do this and have one vertice that just shoots out. This one's very clean, but I can see, you know, what is this one vertex here, and I can see the fall off and how it's to the left arm. There's just a tiny, tiny amount in the left arm roll, left shoulder, and spine 6. I don't need this into spine 6, so I can hit enter, but this is a nice way to clean it up, okay? So let me know if you have any questions. This one I find to be much less glitchy, and sometimes people like to think in a more mathematical way.